So Ken Dodd performed on stage thousands of times. Every show had one thing in common: making people happy.
Now, a new happiness centre dedicated to the comedian will be built in his home city of Liverpool. It'll be filled with joke books, tickling sticks, of course, and hundreds of other artefacts from his decades-long career.
In a moment, we'll speak to Sir Ken's wife about the project. First, here's a reminder of some of his most well-known performances.
The one and only Ken Dodd!
Happiness, happiness, the greatest gift that I possess.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I feel absolutely tutty-hilarious and full of plumptiousness.
Gray skies are gonna clear out, put on a happy face. Wash off the clouds and cheer out, put on a happy face.
Be honest, lady, is this the first time you've seen a Chippendale?
Happiness is a field of grain.
What a beautiful day for bouncing up and down in a big barrel of blancmange. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day for dashing onto the Roland Rat Show and shouting, "Mousetrap!"
Stick out a pleasant outlook, stick out that noble chin.
This is an educational show tonight. This is an educational show. When you go out of here tonight, you say, well, that's taught me a lesson. We shall... When you dream, do you dream in Technicolor or black and white? I always dream in black and white now. Well, my age is mostly repeats.
Well, I'm very pleased to say watching that with us is Lady Dodd. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Sam Avery is here from the Comedy Trust as well. Lady Dodd, can you introduce us? Because there's someone else on the sofa.
There is.
Who
yes.
is this?
This is Dickie Mint. Oh, not too much neck. And if I work his eyes.
And Diddy Mint is one of the original Diddy Mint?
Dickie Mint. Richard Mint, really. Dickie
OK.
Mint, yes.
You'd best... Do you know, there are going to be some people watching that thinking, what? Or, you know, what was that? Because, you know, there'll be people who don't know about the Diddy Man and that, all that stuff.
Dickie Mint was one of the original Diddy Men, and this one was made in about 1970, 71 by Peter Pullen in Coventry, and it's had a few makeovers, but he looks very good. Okay. And he was in the museum, at the Museum of Liverpool. We had him in the exhibition, and he was one of the... Not very good at that.
Tell us, Lady Dodd, we watched a few of those clips there, and I don't know if you're able to see that with us, but Ken Dodd was such an extraordinary, unique performer. Tell us a bit about what he was like, because we heard about all his diaries, which he asked you to burn.
I know. Well, he never stopped writing. He always used to say, take a notebook with you wherever you go, a notebook and pencil, because you'll think of things, you'll get good ideas, and you'll, oh, I remember that, and you don't. You have to write it down. So he always wrote things down, but he analysed his act, he self-criticised, and the notebooks were full of all sorts of ideas for the future, comedy and everything. And he did repeatedly, in the years before he passed away, he said, you will burn all my notebooks, won't you? And I thought, well, yes, if you want. Oh, yes, I don't want people looking at it. It's just me and my notes. And really, they are absolutely fascinating, because I never looked at them when he was alive. You don't, they're almost diaries, and he dated every so often. There'd be a date, because that was the date of a show he was particularly reviewing for himself, yeah.
So what was it like working on this project? Was it cathartic in a way?
Absolutely, yes. The building, which will be the Ken Dodd Happiness Centre, came about because at one stage they said, what will we do with all the museum stuff when it's finished, which finished in July? So for a start, it will house that, a lot of the artefacts and little bits of film and history.
That's what it's going to look like there?
Yes, it's beautiful, and it's built on the end. At the top, that's a smile, as you can see. It's a clever idea.
Sam, pick up on that for us. So what's going to happen there? What's it going to be like?
Well, basically, Ken Dodd's, not just in Liverpool, but like across the nation, he's just this incredible figure, you know, and we really wanted to, alongside Anne, we've worked with Anne for a few years now on Doddy Day and celebrating, I suppose it's the life and legacy of the Squire and Notty Ash, as we call him, and it's just giving him this physical space where we're able to celebrate what he did, because not just as a great comedian, but also as someone who kind of really understood the important links between humour health and happiness, which is kind of really important at the moment. So,
And
yeah.
can you remember when you first were inspired by him and his work?
So I suppose it was a lot of time. I mean, I remember when I started doing stand-up comedy, it was 2003, and I was introduced to Ken as a much younger person through me. My granddad was a huge fan. And it's interesting because I think almost everyone in the Northwest specifically, anyone who saw Ken has got a Ken Dodd story. You know, a story about when they went to see Ken Dodd at a theatre and the theatre manager just chucks Ken the keys and says, "You lock up because we're getting off because it's 3 a.m. and we need to go home." And it's amazing when people's eyes light up when they talk about Ken. So that kind of, that impact was really, really meaningful to me.
And he was famous towards the end of his career. And I know he worked, you know, very near to his death, didn't he? He was still working.
Well, the last show he did was Christmas 2017. Yes, and he passed away in the March. But and he had a full house.
And he was famed at that point for doing very, very long shows.
I know, amazing.
He had stuff to say.
I know. I used to say, I don't do long shows, I just give good value. But I used to say, longer life, shorter shows, longer life. But he didn't cut it down. He said, I'm enjoying myself, I'm just chatting to the audience.
Can you pass the Diddy man? Am I allowed to have a go myself?
Yes.
Careful, Charlie, it's decades old.
I'm going to spoil the magic because there's like just a little thing there, is there? So I can just do that. How do I do the mouth?
Well, the mouth is there are two little things. Can you feel them there?
Like a drawstring thing?
Yeah, two little, like, hooks.
OK, I got it.
There
There we go. So
How
he's going to pay
managed
attention.
to keep it in such good condition all these years?
Well, he just gets a little makeover every so often. Oh, hello.
You could have a new career.
It's so funny.
He's lovely.
And just tell us a bit about Ken Dodd, because sometimes people think comedians behind the scenes are very different. And he had this whole thing about happiness and that delight and the tickling stick. What can you share with us about Ken Dodd that you knew?
Well, he had a serious side. In as much as he was very deep thinking, and we used to have the best conversations driving in the car because you've got a long journey. And the last 20 years, I used to do the driving and the booking and everything. Stop looking at me. Keep his neck down, otherwise wind your neck in.
Wind your neck in, Charlie.
But it was very interesting. Never had a boring minute in all the years I knew him.
And it was a real ambition of his to have a proper comedy museum.
Absolutely. He wanted a museum to celebrate British sense of humour, going from way back in the years. And, you know, there's some marvellous characters, and we've got marvellous characters coming up now. He used to say to students, if you want to do comedy, be original. Don't just go to the books and get some gags out. Be original. Study it. Create a character, and then you're remembered.
I want to say, you know, when you think about modern comedians now, you've done stand-up yourself, when you look at what Ken did, it was very different from the way we perceive kind of stand-up now, isn't it? Just the whole tone, everything around it.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a distinctive style. And I think I often refer to Ken as like the Shakespeare of comedy, because whether you're a big fan or not, you can't deny his influence. And the influence he had was huge. And like Anne says, like, not just what he did on stage, but the deep thinking, and he was almost a scholar of comedy. The thing that he said that really resonated with me was, he said that when he does a good show, he's not doing it to the audience, he's doing it with the audience, and the audience is almost like a double act.
He was a double act.
A double act with the audience. And that's something that we really want to make sure with this building, that we make sure we consult the audience, and that's why there's a big consultation process. We want to make sure that members of the public can come and tell us what they want to see in the centre.
Yeah, and what purpose will the centre serve then? What could this offer for people?
You're better at saying that.
So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of things. Obviously, it's going to be a living monument to the legacy and what Ken gave to everyone in this country. It's going to house exhibition items, so we're going to, again, have a consultation to see what people would like to see. But it's going to be a living space. It's going to have live stuff. We're going to have comedy workshops. We're going to have drop-in sessions. It's going to be a really welcoming, happy building for people to visit.
How many tickling sticks have you... original tickling sticks are there sort of around?
I've still got a few. Yes. Red, white and blue ones.
Around the house, just around the house?
No, well, yes, but yes.
Scattered around.
I use them to dust.
Do you remember when he first came up with the idea of the tickling stick?
Well, he always said it was because when he first started, his arms used to flay around, and you look at old television things, you see his hands are going like that, and he realised it was good to have something to hold. And he started off with tickling sticks that were made out of feathers. And then he would throw them out in the audience at the end, and then people would say, well, why can't we buy them? Why can't we buy them? So then there are not enough hens to make all the feathers. So he started using sort of artificial sheepskin.
Well, do you know what? It's been lovely. Thank you for sharing all the stories, and thank you for bringing the Diddy Man in. And a lot of people are going to love the place when it's finally built up. So thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Headlines are coming up.